Welcome to Indian Constitution, From Zero to Hero. I'm Meera, and in this series, we are going to learn the Indian Constitution from the absolute basics to an exam-ready level. Whether you are preparing for UPSC, State PSC, SSC, banking, railway exams, or you simply want to understand how India is governed, this series is for you. Today's episode 1. The birth of the Indian Republic. And joining me is Amit, our constitutional expert. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you, Meera. I'm excited because the Indian Constitution is not just a legal document. It is the story of India's freedom, unity, diversity, and democracy.
Before we begin, a quick word about who makes this series possible. This podcast is brought to you by Voice Labs. That's voislabs.com.
Every voice you're hearing in this series, including ours, is created with Voice Labs. It's an AI voice studio built for Indian languages and English, so you can turn any script into a natural-sounding podcast.
If you're a teacher, a creator, or an aspirant who wants to revise out loud, give it a try at voicelabs.com. Now, let's get into it. But let me ask the most basic question first. Why should a student begin Indian polity with the making of the Constitution? Why not directly start with fundamental rights, parliament, president, or Supreme Court?
Great question. Think of the Constitution like the blueprint of a house. Before studying the rooms, doors, windows, and electrical system, we need to know who designed the house, why they designed it that way, and what problems they were trying to solve. The Constituent Assembly was that group of designers. They had to build a democratic republic after colonial rule, partition, poverty, illiteracy, social inequality, and enormous diversity. So if we understand the making of the Constitution, later topics like fundamental rights, federalism, secularism, emergency provisions, and reservations become much easier.
Let's start from zero. What exactly was the Constituent Assembly?
The Constituent Assembly was the body that drafted and adopted the Constitution of India. It was formed in 1946 under the Cabinet Mission Plan. Its job was to create a constitution for independent India.
So was it created after independence?
No, that is a common mistake. The Constituent Assembly first met before independence, on the 9th of December 1946. At that time, India was still under British rule. But after the Indian Independence Act of 1947, the Assembly became a sovereign body. That means it had the authority to frame India's constitution and also to function as the legislative body for independent India until the first general elections.
So before the 15th of August 1947, it was not fully sovereign. But after independence, it became the real lawmaking authority for India.
Exactly. That distinction is very important for exams.
Listeners, here is your memory hook. CIA, not the American CIA. For us, C is the Cabinet Mission Plan 1946, I is the Indian Independence Act 1947, and A is the Assembly becoming sovereign after independence. So remember, CIA explains the birth and authority of the Constituent Assembly. Amit, was the Constituent Assembly directly elected by the people of India?
No, it was indirectly elected. Members from British Indian provinces were elected by the members of the provincial legislative assemblies. The seats were allocated broadly according to population and communities. The princely states were also allotted seats, but their representatives were nominated.
So, the people did not directly vote for the Constituent Assembly?
Correct. But we should not immediately conclude that it lacked legitimacy. The assembly included many of the most important political, legal, social, and intellectual leaders of India's freedom struggle.
So, for UPSC, the balanced view is this. It was not directly elected, but it had wide political legitimacy because it represented the national movement and diverse Indian opinion.
Perfect.
Let's talk about the first meeting.
The first meeting of the Constituent Assembly was held on the 9th of December 1946. Dr. Sachidanand Sinha was the temporary president. Later, Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the permanent president of the Assembly.
And Dr. B.R. Ambedkar?
Dr. B.R. Ambedkar chaired the drafting committee. He played a central role in converting the ideas, debates, and committee reports into a workable constitutional text.
So we can remember Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, temporary president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, permanent president, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, chairman of the drafting committee.
Exactly. These are very basic but frequently tested facts.
Second memory hook, SRA. S is Sachidanand Sinha, temporary president. R is Rajendra Prasad, permanent president. And A is Ambedkar, drafting committee chairman. Remember SRA for the key personalities. Amit, how long did it take to make the constitution?
The Constituent Assembly took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to complete the Constitution. The Constitution was adopted on 26th of November 1949 and came into force on 26th of January 1950.
Why the gap between adoption and enforcement?
That gap was used for administrative preparation. Also, the 26th of January had symbolic importance because on that date in 1930, the Indian National Congress had celebrated Purna Swaraj Day, demanding complete independence. So when the Constitution came into force on 26th of January 1950, India became a sovereign democratic republic.
So 26th of November is Constitution Day and 26th of January is Republic Day?
Correct.
Amit, one thing every student hears is that the Indian Constitution is one of the longest written constitutions in the world. Why is it so detailed?
Because India was not a simple society to govern. The framers had to deal with 1. Enormous diversity of language, religion, caste, region and culture. 2. The trauma of partition. 3. The integration of princely states. 4. Social inequality and caste discrimination. 5. Poverty and lack of education. And 6. The need for democracy in a newly independent country. So the constitution had to be detailed enough to provide clarity and stability.
So it was not unnecessarily long. It was long because India's problems were complex.
Exactly. The constitution is detailed because India needed a strong legal and institutional framework from day one.
Now let's cover an important UPSC area, the committees of the Constituent Assembly. Was the constitution written by one person or one committee?
No, it was a collective effort. The assembly worked through several committees. Some of the most important were the Drafting Committee, chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the Union Powers Committee, chaired by Jawaharlal Nehru, the Union Constitution Committee, also chaired by Nehru, the Provincial Constitution Committee, chaired by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Advisory Committee on Fundamental Rights, Minorities and Tribal Areas, chaired by Patel, the Fundamental Rights Subcommittee, chaired by J.B. Kriplani, and the Minority Subcommittee, chaired by H.C. Mukherjee.
That is a lot. How should students remember this without getting overwhelmed?
Group them by function. If the topic is legal drafting, remember Ambedkar. If the topic is union powers and union structure, remember Nehru. If the topic is provinces, minorities and rights, remember Patel and the related subcommittees.
That's useful. Instead of memorizing randomly, connect the person with the constitutional problem they were solving. And here's another memory hook, A and P. A is Ambedkar for drafting, N is Nehru for union structure and powers, and P is Patel for provinces, minorities and advisory work. A and P, Ambedkar, Nehru, Patel. Quick reminder of who powers this series. Voice Labs. VoiceLabs.com is the AI voice studio behind every episode.
If you're making your own revision notes or a study podcast, Voice Labs lets you generate clear, exam-ready narration in Hindi, English, and several Indian languages. In fact, the two-voice conversation you are listening to right now was made with it.
Try it at voicelabs.com. Now, back to the debates. Let's make this more interesting. What were some big debates inside the Constituent Assembly?
There were many. Some important ones were about the nature of the Indian Union, fundamental rights, minority protection, language, citizenship, the role of the judiciary, whether India should have a strong center, whether the preamble should mention God, whether the constitution should include socialist and secular ideas explicitly, and whether political safeguards should extend to religious minorities.
Let's focus on minority rights, because it is important for both history and polity.
Yes. After partition, the question of minority protection became extremely sensitive. Some members wanted strong political safeguards for religious minorities, including separate representation. But the assembly rejected separate electorates because they were seen as divisive and linked to the politics that had contributed to partition. Instead, the constitution gave religious and linguistic minorities cultural and educational rights, especially under Articles 29 and 30.
So the constitution rejected separate electorates but protected minority culture and education.
Exactly. That is a high-value UPSC understanding.
So India chose integration without forced uniformity.
Beautifully said. The framers wanted national unity, but they did not want cultural erasure.
One common question. India is federal, but why does it have a strong center?
The framers had just witnessed partition, communal violence, and the challenge of integrating princely states. They feared that a weak center might lead to fragmentation. So India adopted a federal system with unitary features.
Meaning?
Normally, power is divided between the union and the states. But during emergencies or national crises, the center becomes very powerful. This is why scholars often call India quasi-federal, or a federal system with a strong center.
So the strong center was not accidental. It was a response to historical conditions.
Correct. For mains answers, always connect constitutional design to historical context.
Another common criticism is that the Indian constitution borrowed many features from other countries. Some people say it is a bag of borrowings. Is that fair?
Yes, the framers borrowed ideas from several constitutions, but they did not blindly copy. They adapted those ideas to Indian conditions. For example, from Britain, India took the parliamentary system and the rule of law. From the United States, India took fundamental rights and judicial review. From Ireland, India took the directive principles of state policy. From Canada, India took the idea of a strong center. From Australia, India took the concurrent list. From Germany's Weimar Constitution, India took emergency provisions. And from the Government of India Act of 1935, India adopted many administrative features.
So the better answer is, the Indian constitution is not a copy. It is a carefully adapted document.
Exactly. A good UPSC answer should say, borrowed in source, original in application.
Let's now summarize the uniqueness of the Indian constitution.
The Indian Constitution is unique because it combines and balances many things: liberty and social justice, democracy and stability, federalism and national unity, rights and duties, judicial review and parliamentary lawmaking, secularism and cultural diversity, and social revolution with constitutional order.
That is powerful. So the constitution is not just a rule book, it is a balancing machine?
Exactly. And UPSC loves this idea. The Constitution continuously balances competing values.
Now let's look at this from the exam perspective. What should aspirants remember from episode 1?
For prelims, remember the factual points. The Constituent Assembly was formed under the Cabinet Mission Plan 1946. It first met on the 9th of December 1946. Dr. Sachidanand Sinha was the temporary president. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the permanent president. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar chaired the drafting committee. The Constitution was adopted on the 26th of November 1949. It came into force on the 26th of January 1950, and it took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days to complete. For mains, remember the analytical points. Why India chose a detailed constitution? Why India adopted a strong center? Why separate electorates were rejected? How minority rights were protected? Why borrowing from other constitutions was intelligent adaptation, not blind copying? And how historical context shaped constitutional design.
So prelims asks what, when and who. Mains asks why and how.
Exactly.
Let's do a quick rapid-fire revision. Amit, Cabinet Mission Plan?
1946. It proposed the Constituent Assembly.
First meeting?
The 9th of December 1946.
Temporary President?
Dr. Sachidananda Sinha.
Permanent President?
Dr. Rajendra Prasad.
Drafting Committee Chairman?
Dr. B.R. Ambedkar.
Adoption date?
The 26th of November 1949.
Enforcement date?
The 26th of January 1950.
Time taken?
2 years, 11 months and 18 days.
Why a strong center?
Partition, national unity, integration of princely states, and administrative stability.
Was the constitution blindly copied?
No, it borrowed and adapted.
Before we close, here is a small exercise for listeners. Try answering this in your own words. Why did the framers of the Indian Constitution prefer a strong center? Pause the episode and speak your answer for 1 minute. Your answer should include 3 points: partition, integration of princely states, and the need for national unity and stability.
And if you are a UPSC aspirant, convert that 1-minute answer into a 150-word mains answer. That is how you build writing skill.
That brings us to the end of episode 1, the birth of the Indian Republic. Today we learned how the Constituent Assembly was formed, who the key personalities were, why the Constitution is detailed, why India adopted a strong center, and how the framers balanced unity with diversity.
In the next episode, we will study the Preamble, the philosophical compass of the Constitution. We will understand words like sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity.
One last thank you to our sponsor, Voice Labs at voicelabs.com, the AI voice studio that produced this entire episode. If you want to create your own podcast or study material in your own voice, that is where to go.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Indian Constitution, from zero to hero. Keep revising, keep questioning, and remember, the Constitution is not just for exams, it is the operating system of Indian democracy.